Hello, welcome to another episode of Swapping Joysticks, your home of gaming, streaming. Is it too hot?
It's too hot.
It is a very, very hot podcast. I'm Biggest Bennis, otherwise known as Ben Ostick, and joining me always it's Little Ed Nightingale.
No, we're not doing this. We've been watching Taskmaster, and this is not a thing. It's
Little
not
Ed
happening.
Nightingale.
No.
The simply lovely Little Ed Nightingale.
It was my tea that was too hot.
not the podcast.
No, the podcast certainly isn't.
Wow. Hey, it was last week. So I got really dry, something in my throat now. I'm going to have to pause for a second because I need a drink. And we're back. Yeah.
Great start.
Really, really good start. But yeah, no, we did pop off a bit last time because we were talking a lot, you were talking about Death Stranding that you went to go and see. So
in Japan.
that did, yeah.
Did you know I went to Japan?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
It popped off. We also had an amazing comment from someone, some feedback.
Some asshole.
Well, no, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Ed, stop talking about your alt account. There was like, Ben, just shut up and just let us hear about Death Stranding from Ed. And I completely agree. So, yeah.
No, it's a joint podcast. You're allowed to have a voice.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a preview video, which maybe that's what they thought it was. But never mind. I saw a celebrity today when I went to get my haircut. On the way to getting my haircut, as I was walking.
So was this Central London-ish?
Central, and so we're going to play a game.
Oh, no.
Hopefully it won't take too long, where I can only give you yes or no answers.
Oh, God, it's one of these.
Yes. Also, I love I went and got a drink and didn't actually drink any of it.
No, and you got yourself a Coke and it's late at night, so...
It is, I'm going to be up tonight editing this podcast, so I may as well.
Are you actually famous?
Oh, have I got to be...
Well, you've got to say yes or no.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is you we're talking about, which means it's probably a Z-lister. Are you male?
Yes.
Are you
chop.
on the TV?
Yes.
Are you a presenter?
Yes. Do you know this person?
No. Are you funny?
No.
Okay. But you're a presenter. Are you on a sports show?
No.
Are you on an entertainment show?
No.
Are you on the news?
Yes.
Oh. Oh, I was going to say something really bad.
Not Jill Dando, no.
No, I wasn't thinking that.
I'm going to pause and find out what you're going to say. No, Ed, I haven't been convicted of any sex offences. God, great start to this game. What a podcast. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching, listening. We'll... one of the few news presenters that isn't in trouble.
I'm now struggling to think of a different male news reporter. Are you hot?
No.
Oh, that doesn't help me. George Galloway.
No.
Oh, is that how I mean?
No. George Alagaya. No, he died. He died years ago.
Oh,
There you
God.
go. Oh, what a great...
I don't know.
You know him.
Do I?
Yeah. Try and think of the channels.
Channel 4.
Yes.
Oh. Krishna Guru Murphy.
Yes.
Hey.
What past him? I told you, a real celebrity.
Wow.
Real
I just
A-lister.
said, were you on Strictly?
Exactly. Yeah. When you were
okay.
going into it, I was like, you're going to just guess this straight away. No, he walked past me. He was, he's looking very slim. He's looking like very, like, so he continued his dancing.
He kept dancing.
He did. It's quite very short, but I always assumed he was anyway.
Everyone is to you.
Yeah. But yeah, just walked past him in Holborn.
So for anyone who isn't British.
Yeah, this is going to kind of, there are going to be so many people switching off during this.
Yeah, he's a random news reporter on Channel 4.
Yeah, who was on Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah. I say random, he's been around for a few decades.
He's great.
You know.
He's very good
relatively well known.
Yeah.
Not the most exciting celebrity spot. But
No, no, it wasn't. I did think I saw Freddie Flintoff, but I don't know if that was him or not.
Tonight as well?
Yeah, on the bus. He wasn't on the bus.
I
wouldn't be on
was
the...
going
No.
to say, as if he would be on a
Walking
bus.
around Liverpool Street Station. So maybe. Anyway, so that was...
Great.
What have you been up to? Anything?
Sat on my ass at home.
I think we should probably explain our backdrop.
Well, it's Eurovision week.
Yes. We did Biggest Vision on Saturday, sorry, when it went into Sunday. And we selected Denmark as our number one song for
No, we
Biggest Vision.
didn't.
No, not Denmark. Finland. That's the same thing.
Not you getting the Scandies mixed up.
Are they even Scandi? Oh, it's Nordic that's Finland, isn't
Nordics,
it?
then.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
sure.
I think... Oh, God, I'm going to get into trouble here if I don't... No,
You-
what,
yeah,
Nordic...
you will get
I
into
think
trouble if you
Finland
get this
isn't
wrong.
Nordic, but Finland is Scandinavia. This is going to be embarrassing
I
if
mean,
it's
this
not.
is actually news to me as well because I just group them all together as
Wow.
Scandies.
Well, no, because Finland's separate. Like, they speak... Their language, isn't it similar? Like, the closest thing it is to, like, Hungarian rather than anything else. Why is there no internet? Jesus Christ. Where do we live?
Do you want me
Yeah,
to
here we go.
do
Finland
it?
is a country
Yes.
that is... Oh my God, just no internet. Great, thanks. Here we go. It is Finnish and Swedish. Blah, blah, blah. Let me go and pause while I find this out rather than we just go and do this. Ed has the answer.
Yeah, because I didn't use AI to look it up. I just typed it.
I didn't use AI. I used Siri, which is AI, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's for some reason...
Is Finland part of Scandinavia? Yes or no? And the answer is no. Scandinavia is Denmark, Sweden, and Norway.
A Nordic? It's probably not even a thing. But there we go. They just have the same flag, all right?
Is Finland
Yeah, for some reason it was clicked.
Nordic?
Wow, this is...
Yes.
Oh.
The Nordic region consists of Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Iceland, as well as the Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Åland.
I was just thinking, because, yeah, Nordic, they're all northern. That's how I'm going to remember it. They're all northern countries. But Scandipop, I don't really know much Finnish Scandipop. In fact, I don't know any Finnish Scandipop, so that makes sense. They go weird and heavy metal. They prefer heavy metal.
That's true.
Yeah. There we go.
This year, it's a song all about ejaculating
Yeah, but
/ climaxing.
that's not Scandipop. That's Scumdipop. Pop.
Where are you going with that?
Scumdipop.
No, they're not scum.
No. S-cum. It's like K-pop. Okay, well, let's... that's Eurovision.
Is this
so
the week we get cancelled?
if we haven't been cancelled already, then we're not going to be.
well, that's true.
So last night was this first semi-final. Tomorrow's the semi. When this goes up, the second semi-final will have finished, and we'll know who's through to the final.
And hopefully Finland, because they are in the second semi.
Yeah, they are one of my favourites. But yeah, so that's why we have this bit in the background, because we did Biggest Vision on Sunday, where we had loads of people joining us. Thanks to everybody that joined and voted in the 7-hour plus marathon. I wouldn't have it any other way. And yeah, Finland ended up winning. So, but we also have played some games, and we are back. We were back last week, obviously, with the special about Death Stranding and the Switch 2, but now we're back to our regular schedule, and we're going to be talking this week about Clair Obscur, The Precinct, South of Midnight.
Some games we've been playing the last few weeks.
And what you've been playing as well.
Yeah.
So, Ed, let's talk about Clair Obscur, because that game, you reviewed it.
I reviewed it. I finished it. I reviewed it, and then I platinumed it.
So I'm guessing you like it.
I do. A lot.
I'm currently at the so we won't do any spoilers. This is going to be a spoiler-free
Yes.
talk about it, because there are things that happen that are... All I'm going to say, no spoilers. There are some really cool and very surprising plot twists, and I want nobody should be spoiled of those. So I'm currently a chunk of the way into Act 2, and
Okay.
so that's how
Just
far
so
I am.
that people who have played it know vaguely where you are.
Yeah,
You're into Act 2, and that's as much as we'll say.
Yeah, I'm about 3 or 4 hours into Act 2.
Okay.
I think overall maybe about... Actually, I don't know how many hours. It's well over 10, I think.
Okay. So this game was on my radar has been on my radar since last year, when it was, I think it was first shown at an Xbox showcase.
And were we going...
Was it a year ago or 2 years ago now?
Star.
Well, no, because he wasn't in it at that. Well, he wasn't. His voice hadn't been used in the trailer.
Okay.
But Jennifer English had, and they hadn't announced it, but her voice is very distinctive. So everyone was like, "Oh, that's Jennifer English of Baldur's Gate fame."
And Top and Joysticks.
Of course, and Burnstar. So yeah, this was on my radar for a long time, and I got to see it in a preview last year in Kepler's office. Kepler's the publisher. And it's a studio called Sandfall, who are based in the south of France, in Montpellier, and there's only about 30 people in that core team. Now, everyone keeps saying like, oh, it's been made by 30 people. And it sort of hasn't, because as you'll know when you get to the credits,
it's like Stardew being the solo dev.
There are a lot of other people and teams that were involved and supported and whatever else. But the core team at Samfall is, yes, around sort of 30 people. And I was already really excited about it, and I think some people were thinking, what is this? Because it's got a very strange name, like Clair Obscur Expedition 33. And the thing is that when you play it, that does actually make sense.
I mean, Expedition 33 definitely does. It's going to be interesting to see if they do I haven't got, obviously, to the end at all, so I don't know how it ends or anything. But when it comes to like a sub thing like Expedition 33, it goes, yeah, you are, it's not a spoiler. In fact, you are on Expedition 33. So yes. I'm like, is there a game in the future where it's covering a different expedition? Or is that it? Is this just... I
couldn't possibly answer that question.
Okay.
Clair Obscur is the French equivalent of the Italian term chiaroscuro, which is an artistic term in painting about the contrast between light and dark.
Ooh.
So when you're looking at like a Da Vinci painting or something, actually, don't quote me on Da Vinci. There are maybe Caravaggio, I'm going to say. I don't know, some Italian painters. They were very interested in the contrast between light and dark and how that gives you a sense of perspective and depth. And so it's about light and dark. And in this game, that's maybe hinting at, forces at work. But also, as you will have seen already, it's very painterly in its that's
not a word, Ed.
Yes, it is. It is now.
I don't think it is, but
it's very painterly in its terminology. So
art-like
and artistic. So the premise, which again is very strange from the beginning of the game.
I turned it off. I played it for about an hour and was like,
what the fuck
this is nonsense, and it's a bit annoying, and yeah, I'm listening to everybody, and it just, I don't know, it didn't click. I put it down for an hour and then picked it back up and haven't put it down since.
Yeah. Mainly because I told you carry on.
Yeah, you did. And everybody's been going on about how great it is. And I was like, the combat did grab me. We'll talk about it.
We'll get to the combat. Yeah. So the basic premise is there is this monolith in this world. And on the monolith sits the paintress. And every year she paints a number. And everyone of that age dies. And so these people go out on expeditions every year to try and stop her, and so far no one has. And this event of her basically killing everyone is called the gommage, which I'm pretty sure is a French word meaning something like erasure or something like that. Gommage. So there's that. There's the paintress. There are all these sort of painterly artistic terms. There are the gestrels, which is this little race of creatures that you meet along the way that kind of look like sentient paintbrushes.
I love them.
They
little trolls. They're like trolls. Yeah. The little trolls that you used to get with the hair.
But with like paintbrush hair. Yeah, exactly that. And so, you are on this expedition. And then like shit happens. Shit hits the fan. Lots of shit goes down. I'm not going to say any more. I was really excited about this game, and it's suddenly blown up. Like since it came out, the review scores were incredibly strong.
Yeah, you gave it a 4, and you were like, that was strict.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give it a 5? Why are you a hater?
Well, I'm going to get to that. I was surprised that it did review quite as well as it did. And that's not to say that I don't like it. I think it's fucking brilliant. I adore this game. It's probably my favorite thing I've played this year. But for reasons I didn't quite think it was worth a 5. I think for me, I had a couple of criticisms. Partly, for me, the story didn't really get going until quite a way in.
Is it where I am now or after?
It picked up at the end of Act 1.
Yeah, it did.
For reasons. And then it continues. And it's because that initial premise is like, what the fuck is this? It's so out there and strange that it just... And there's so much sort of terminology and weird things that it took me a while to settle into it. And it took me a while to warm to the characters.
Yeah, same here, except for Redhead.
Mael.
Mael, yeah. I don't know. I just really liked her.
I mean,
she was very
she's
sweet.
great.
She's just like,
great.
yeah, she's really strong. She's got some amazing magic, and she's like really young as well. So it's like this little powder keg, which I liked.
Yes. They have unfortunately nerfed her best move, which I may have used to get the platinum.
Yeah, so when I get the platinum, I'm going to have it legit.
Don't say that. I'm pretty sure you can still use the same strategy. It's just not quite as powerful.
The thing is, I'm playing it on story mode, and you wouldn't count that as playing legit, would you?
I didn't say that.
I love that you say that. You're like, oh, Ben, you're playing on easy mode. That's not properly playing the game.
I literally, those words does not slip out of my mouth.
Yeah, you're cheating. You're using freaking Game Shark here to get your 1,000,000-point score that you needed.
I think you'll find that I played it on normal just because that was my preferred way. And I didn't want to drop it because I felt like, for me, cheating. I felt like I would be giving in to my own inadequacies. Exactly.
So you're saying I'm inadequate playing on story mode? And everybody that's listening is?
No. Stop twisting my words, Ben. Shut the fuck up.
It's your fault, that,
I didn't
wasn't
want
it?
to change it halfway through. I wanted to stick with the same difficulty, just to be consistent.
So
anyway, the story and the characters didn't grab me quite as much as I think it did for other people. Now, I feel like there's a few reasons for that, which are maybe circumstance. So partly, I got to play a preview demo of not the prologue, but from the bit after that. The first sort of couple of areas.
Which is when it, to me, picked up. Like after the prologue, that's when I found it much more enjoyable to play.
Yeah. And so I'd already played that chunk. So I sort of was keen to get past that. And I don't want to say I rushed it, but I took my time to go through the opening bit. And then that next bit, I was like, well, I know what I'm doing now. So I was kind of just waiting for the story to pick up after that. I think also because I played it for review, you do sometimes play it, not rushing it, but you've got a deadline and you need to get through it. So you're taking it in, but you're maybe going a little quicker and not immersing yourself as slowly as you would do otherwise, maybe. And so I think maybe for that reason, the story just, because it's a little slow towards the beginning, it takes a while for those big hitting points to come in. So I just felt like I just didn't warm to it as much. And the thing is that loads of people have now played the beginning and are like, oh my God, the beginning's incredible. And it just, I don't know, the emotional weight of it didn't quite get me.
Me neither, because I mean, yeah, the theme of it, the overall, like I said, I'm going to keep those spoilers away, but there's obviously a strong theme of loss and stuff in there.
There's a lot of death.
Yeah, and I don't know, if something happens, like, I don't know, if they try and put something really impactful right at the very beginning of a game or of any kind of media, that when you're not really invested in the characters, it's nowhere near as powerful as if they did that at the end or whatever.
It's very artistic and it's very beautifully done. And I think that goes for the game as a whole. So it was like, touching music and really beautiful art. I mean, I'll say when people are affected by the gommage, they basically kind of disappear into this like cloud of petals.
Good old, what's it called? Thanos. Don't feel very good, Monsieur Francois.
Sure. However, the story does pick up a lot more later on, but I also did eventually warm to the characters, but I think a lot of that is in optional stuff.
Yes.
So there are a lot of optional conversations at the campsite and extra side areas that you can go and explore, especially at the very end, which again, I'll get to in a minute without spoiling it.
Also, a little tip with that, like when you're at your campsite, you can go around and it's like, do you want to spend time with this person? Do you want to spend time with this person? And you get some really cool cutscenes. But also when you're about to go to sleep, one of them is like, spend some more time with your campmates. And I initially, and I think you did as well, I initially thought that meant, back out of going to sleep. You go to the campfire and you can like go to sleep to progress to the next day. Or the other option is like spend some time with campmates. And I thought that was just like cancel. But it's not.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah, but it's not. If you go into that, it actually does unlock another cutscene,
which I didn't see. So, and I think there are multiple cutscenes of that sort.
Yeah.
Because you selected it, And I had by that point selected it and realized you had a completely different cutscene. So I think there are multiple extra story bits along the way, but you have to really dig for them. And that goes for the game as a whole. I think it's absolutely full of secrets that you have to really dig for. And when you're reviewing it and trying to just see the main story, you're maybe not quite looking for those moments. And suddenly it's kind of blossomed into all these other little bits that I've seen online. I'm like, oh, I really like that. Like, for instance, there is right at the beginning, behind a door, there's a couple banging. And you can hear them banging. And you go up to like talk to them and it comes up with a little... You hear them like, you know, making some sexual noises.
I think I got that.
And there's a little comment. If you talk to them 33 times... Funny that. 33 times, they eventually go, yeah, all right, you can stop listening now, and they give you an item.
Oh.
So there's loads of little secrets, even from the very beginning, there are loads of little secrets like that along the way.
You made sure to do that.
Well, no, I hadn't. I completely missed that, and I saw it on TikTok.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think it's the kind of story and game as a whole where the more you invest in it, the more you get out. And I don't think that's quite mirrored in the review process. So I'll say that much. I still stand by what I wrote in the review. I think I do still feel like it's let down a little bit by its exploration. So essentially it is an RPG in the sort of traditional Japanese style, but in this very French artistic world. And we'll get to combat in a minute, but exploration it's done on a big world map, like on the old RPGs, and then you go into towns and areas which are effectively dungeons. The only thing is that I found disappointing is that there's just not a lot of exploration to be done. Each of those areas, you're essentially just following a path. And some of them are quite maze-like, and they branch, but it's still pretty linear. You're kind of just following a path, and there's not really a lot to do. There's the odd little secret area where there's a very small, simple secret puzzle type thing. But for the most part, all you really do in the game is progress the story and go through combat, apart from some very annoying platforming challenges, which you do have to do for the platinum, and they are horrendous. But apparently he did that on purpose, and he was inspired by Final Fantasy X and how bad the minigames are in that game, that he wanted them to be memorable.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just found that like your interaction with the world is a bit limited. And to me, that calls back to the fact that this is a small team making this game. And as much as it looks beautiful and it looks epic and it's got that sort of AAA look and feel to it, the game is still quite limited in certain regards. So it's kind of at its core like an indie game, but it looks like a AAA game. And I think that comes with some limitations that for me held it back from being a 5-star experience. However, I still fucking love it for a number of reasons. The artistic style of it, I mean, it just looks beautiful.
It does. Yeah, no, going back to like some criticisms, like I find it a bit confusing sometimes where I need to go. And that's one thing I've always disliked in games. And I've always, as somebody that, would like to kind of go and like discover every single secret there or go and pick up every item. I don't like it when it's particularly not really clear which ways to go forwards and which ways are sideways. And people go, oh, you got to follow the lanterns. But there's quite a lot of time when there aren't any lanterns and you're not sure which way to go. And there was one bit when it was at a battlefield and there's a whole like area to the side, but it just doesn't go anywhere. There's got a boss in it. But it's still quite a bit of it includes some platforming to get there, and there's quite a bit further you have to go. But it wasn't really clear whether that was another way to go forwards in the story because I couldn't see the end to it, or if I was meant to go straight on. So I don't want to get to a point where I can't go back. And when I realized, oh crap, no, this is the way forward. I need to go back and clear off this side area, which I thought might have been the way forward.
Are you the same as me where you follow a path and maybe there are 3 branches and you're like, well, one of them's clearly the main route, but I want to do the side ones first because I want to see what's there. But then you don't know which is the side one. Yeah,
and people might go, oh, well, that's because it's immersive, because in real life you don't know which way's got like a dead end and which way's straightforward. But it's a video game. If we want to go and like discover every single path, either give us a mini-map or just make it a bit obvious. Or I think God of War does it quite well, God of War Ragnarok, because their side paths are really short. You literally go around the corner and you see, that's the end of it over there. So you don't really get lost in that. the worst part for me during Clair Obscur was the very, very, very end of Act 1. You can go, I think, left to like a town area that had been like, was underwater or something, or you can go right, which is up a mountain. And I was like, well, both of these ways look really kind of clear, but I didn't realize it was the end of Act 1, and then like, you know, stuff progresses the story to the end, and then you start Act 2. So I couldn't really go back. I'm sure I can, but it really wasn't obvious which way you need to go, because there were flags on either side as well, because they have like save flags. So there's a save flag going left and a save flag going right, and I'm like, well, it's 50-50 which way I'm meant to be going, and I went the way accidentally to progress the story. So at some point I should probably go back and see what there is down there.
Yeah, I mean, all I'll say is that you can go everywhere.
Yeah, you can go back,
so
eventually.
you won't miss anything.
And you can fast travel between the flags as well.
Yes, but there might be some things that are useful for you, maybe.
Yeah, and there are some things I've seen that I'm like, that is not breakable at the moment, but maybe it will be in the future. So who knows?
I wonder why. So yeah, I think artistically it's a beautiful game. It's so surreal, and it, you know, for instance, it's got this, like, the second area is essentially underwater, but you're not underwater. So it's as if like there's a shimmering sky above you, there's whales through the sky, there are all these shipwrecks and stuff, it's all coral, so it's as if you're walking around underwater, but you're just breathing normally. And
feel like
you're
that
fine.
was very clever that they put that second, because that's the one of the first like dungeony places that you go into.
Yeah.
And everyone's just going to be like, look at this game, it is stunning, and they're going to make their mind up quite quickly that this is a stunning game, and they're going to be, because there's some parts that are a bit uglier, but it's like the colors and like the vibrancy of that is beautiful.
Yeah, I love the music as well. The music is phenomenal. There's a lot of classical singing and piano pieces that are very gentle and emotive, but also the battle music's amazing. There's one particular, and there are different battle themes. It's not just one repeated like you would get in a Final Fantasy, but there's one that does recur a few times for like a boss theme, and it's so fucking cool. I like the synths and the bass comes in, and it's just like, this is just, you know, when you just feel like so pumped up for battle.
Yeah,
the music does that.
It does, and I think, and that's why sometimes there'll be certain like bigger enemies that are maybe repeated that you do them, and but when you see you're coming up to it, I'm like, oh great, because I know this battle theme is great, and like the music just makes you want to fight these battles more. Like there are these mimes that pop around, and those mimes have got a very, very French sounding. I mean, a lot of the music is very French, but it's like parody French music with an accordion and everything. So
I mean, there's a lot of that throughout it. Like, it is a French studio, but they are quite self-deprecating in that respect. In that, yes, there's a lot of sort of French style to it. I think like the fashion of the characters and stuff, it feels very French. The main town has like an Eiffel Tower in it. And then you've got these mimes and silly French music, and there are costumes called baguette, and they swear in French all the way through it, and things like that. So it feels like a very French game, which I think lends it quite a distinctive character.
What do you think of well, you're talking about the battle here. What do you think about the battles and how each character has a very different play style?
So the battles are my favorite thing about the whole game.
So that's the reason I am addicted to the gameplay of it.
Yeah.
But the story is like a second to the gameplay.
Yes, exactly that. That's exactly how I feel about it. The battles are turn-based, and that was a big sort of draw for a lot of people, but also for the director to make this game, was that when you look at, say, the Final Fantasy series, they've got progressively more action-based. There are still a lot of turn-based games out there, if you know where to look.
So stop demanding that Final Fantasy 17 is turn-based. It's not going to happen.
I mean, it might do. But also go play Metaphor or Persona or whatever else.
Like the Rebirth, the Final Fantasy 7 remake games, they have done I don't think 17 is not going to be traditional turn-based. If anything, it could be like 7 Rebirth remake. Like that's probably as close as you're going to get.
Maybe. I mean, that's a different conversation. But there are, I guess you could argue that we're seeing fewer turn-based games, at least at a sort of AAA quality. A lot of them are sort of more pixel-based or anime-based. And so, yeah, a big part of this game was the director wanting to bring turn-based combat, but with that AAA flair. And it definitely succeeds in that. But the added part of this is the action elements of the combat. So it's not just selecting things from a menu. You have to time your button presses for attacks. You have to dodge at the right time or parry at the right time. And the parry is phenomenal. It just, he is a big Dark Souls fan, but also he's a Sekiro speedrunner. And let's not talk about Sekiro.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Sekiro at the moment, aren't you?
It's making me angry.
Well, don't worry, because next week you can talk about how you finished it.
Yeah, we'll see. But he loves Sekiro, Guillaume Broche, who's the director. And so he was inspired by the parry in Sekiro, but putting that into turn-based combat. And so it's all about getting the timing right. And when an enemy attack is like a combo and a series of attacks, you have to parry and time every single one to get the counter attack at the end. So in that respect, it starts to feel like a rhythm game because it's not necessarily timed with the music, but every enemy attack pattern has like a rhythm to it. And once you learn that, you can parry everything and then go back with huge attacks. And it all goes to slow-mo and it zooms in and it just feels really cool when you get it right. But yeah, as you said, every character has their own combat style that you have to learn. So it's not, again, as simple as just, pick things from a menu. Like every character plays differently and has different strengths. So for instance, you've got Lune, who is the mage of the party, and she has these different elemental attacks that leave behind stains, or what's called stains.
They're so different as well, these different styles.
Yeah. Like she leaves behind stains. And so for instance, if you use an ice attack, you'll leave behind an ice stain. And then when you look at her fire ability, that has the ability to absorb an ice stain to do more damage. And then that leaves behind a fire stain that then can be absorbed by a different element. And so you start to see how all these skills can lead from one to the next and create a pattern. And then similarly, you've got Maëlle, who's your favorite, who has different stances. So she alternates between offensive stance, defensive stance, and then a virtuo stance that does like 200% damage. And different moves will leave her in a different stance ready for her next hit.
She's the only one so far that I've managed to do anywhere. Well, she did 9,999 damage, but she's the only one that's even got close to that.
Yeah, so the thing people have done is use her to do extreme damage with this one move that has been nerfed. But I used that move and I used it to kill the big super boss at the end of the game, who is an arsehole if you try and do it properly. Is really tricky.
What do you mean properly?
Well, as in
on normal mode.
No, as in if you just go through.
I know, without using that cheat.
Well, it's not even a cheat. Like, okay, let's talk about Pictos and Luminers, and I'm not going to explain what the fuck they are.
People don't care
because
about.
No, it's too complicated. But essentially, you have all these different buffs and abilities that you collect throughout the game, and you learn them within your party, and you can then stack them and acquire them. And through doing that, essentially, you can break the game. And Guillaume Broche literally said, I want people to break this game. Like, they've done that on purpose. So you can play it in a fairly standard way of, right, I've got my 3 party members, and then I'm going to give them abilities to increase the counter damage that they do and give them extra ability points when they parry and whatever else. And that's all really nice. But when you really, really get into all these Pictos and Luminers, you can come up with these really interesting builds. And that's what people have done with Maëlle, where it's basically there's a Picto for if you've only got one person in your party, they do extra damage. So you basically go in with one person and you don't, and you're thinking, oh, that's really vulnerable. But then you just stack up all of these different abilities so that you then just have insane damage right from the start. And you do this one move. And I did 72 million damage in one hit and killed the super boss in one hit.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, you're breaking the game, but it's satisfying. It's like, do you know what? I understand what the game wants me to do.
It's great that, like, you said there are so many different ways, like so many different methods, or so many different styles of combat with the multiple characters. I think there's 6 characters overall. And those Pictos, there are just so many of them that just do so many different things that you just know that there was going to be something that breaks because they're just... Everyone's like, oh, you start with this, but then this one might mean you do double damage on your second hit, or like they've all got so many. I don't know. I love the variety, and it is. I know there's more than 30 people, but like having a core team of 30 to come up with something like that that's just so. I don't know. That just gives you so much freedom. Like when you think of a a game that's not AAA, you don't think of something that just gives you that much variety, because you just know there would be like, how do you even test all these different things? Which is maybe why this appeared and this happened. But yeah, because you know that when there are just a million different combinations, you need to test those million combinations to make sure they aren't broken. So it's not usually something that a studio of that size would be able to do.
Are you finding it quite overwhelming, all the different options?
I've decided to stick with things instead of going for the people who I think are the most powerful. I'm going for the ones because you can only pick 3 at once, can't you?
Yep.
Oh, is it 5 characters, not 6? Or 6? I don't know. I can't remember exactly how many I've got, but anyway, I've just unlocked.
There are a certain number of characters.
Yeah, but there's a person who I've just unlocked, or a thing, and they are what's their name?
Are you talking about Monoko?
Monoko, yeah, Monaco. They were really fun, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use him, even though he's not at the moment the strongest, because there's certain things you need to unlock to get him. I'm like, you know what? It's actually really good fun to play, so I switched out Lune for him just because I found his more enjoyable.
Yep, I would recommend doing that as well,
because you get to collect things.
He is essentially the blue mage. If you know blue mages from Final Fantasy, they learn enemy abilities when they battle them. And in my hunt for the platinum, one of the trophies is to get all of the enemy abilities with him. And there is one that is missable. Because there are only 2 instances of this one enemy. And one of them is sort of hidden away and I haven't seen it. So yes, you
should play with him.
You should definitely play with him to make sure that you get all of the abilities.
Yes.
So I'd recommend that. Just to sort of finish off as well, I finished the game and I did some of the extras and then got the review done. But I've continued playing it since then because I wanted to get the platinum and I loved it so much. And if anything, the more I've played it, the more I've enjoyed it and I've grown to love it even more.
So it should be a 5.
So I'm sticking with my review score,
okay.
But I've still really, really enjoyed playing it. And a big part of that is that, and I think I've talked about this before, one of my favorite parts of any RPG is, especially JRPGs, is the sort of final part of it, which is usually when you've unlocked the airship and so suddenly the world opens up and you can go everywhere and you're like, right, now I'm going to tick off all of the extra mini games. I'm going to tick off all the secret bosses and all the super powerful weapons and all those sorts of things. And for me, that's where this game really excels, because the actual story is only about 30 hours, which is relatively short for this type of game. But there is so much extra content in the final part of the game. And when you get to that final part, you can literally just go straight to the final area and do the last bit, and you can ignore the rest of the world. Or it's quite hard if you do that because you haven't explored. But if you then just go off and explore the rest of the world, there are so many extra areas, so many extra dungeons that are hours long, so many secret bosses, new Pictos and Luminous to get, and new weapons to unlock. There is so much in there that is absolutely worthwhile taking your time to explore all of that to the full and doing all that, and then doing the super bosses. And as I said, learning to sort of stack the Pictos and things in different ways. Like, that made me really appreciate the depth of the combat a lot more. So the more you play it, the better it is.
How many hours do you have after doing platinum?
I think in total it was maybe 45 to 50 in total. Yeah. So, but it's a decent chunk of extra content, basically. Yeah. And yeah, I personally love that kind of game. I like an RPG where you get really into the mechanics and the systems of it. You know, it's not just, this is telling a nice story with some nice art, but actually here's a really in-depth battle system with loads of mechanics to learn that seems overwhelming, but once you get to grips with it and you break the game, it becomes really fun. Yeah. Like, that's why I love Final Fantasy VIII, for instance, because you can break it really easily. Yeah. And I personally love that style of game. So that's why I've really grown to love Clair Obscur even more than when I first finished it.
Brilliant. Well, I'm looking forward to playing it. I'll probably play a bit more tonight.
Please do.
After this while it's
and then we can talk about
uploading. Okay, excited about that. We've played a couple of games together. We played Grandma No, which I finished. I raced through and finished in about 45 minutes.
Because it's very short.
It can be very short if you just do the main things. Grandma No, it's a kind of chaotic grandma sandbox game where a kid is dropped off at your house and you have to look after the kid while doing all your tasks. But the tasks are, it involves lots of breaking things and smashing things and throwing things around. And it's pretty much just a sandbox game. It's very cutesy, cartoony graphics, ragdoll physics, just mayhem. And
it reminded me a lot of Untitled Goose Game.
but
In that
yeah.
you've got like a list of tasks to do and you have to cause chaos. But it's way more chaotic
Yeah.
and amusing than Goose Game.
And they also they'll say, okay, you need to do these tasks. So you need to go and tidy up the you need to go and vacuum up the dust. So you go and do that, but as you're doing it, you're knocking over vases accidentally, or you're sucking up other things.
She has very long arms.
She does. There might be a fire that starts on your vacuum. So it's it's only single player, but it is pretty much like I said, Untitled Goose Game, where you've got a task to do, but it's your choice to do it however you want. But I think the real part of it that's enjoyable, because I enjoyed playing it till the end. I was like, that was cool. Is doing like all the extra things. There are loads of little hidden. The meat of this game is actually in the hidden ones. Because I whizzed through it and I went and did the garden, and I did the garden probably in about 10 minutes. And then we, for the quick look, decided to spend 25 minutes or so on the quick.
Just on that one level.
Just on the garden, and was like, let's go and do some of the side stuff. And the amount of weird stuff we unlocked. You blew her up, and so she went flying across the garden at one point. Chainsawed a tree down. You got into a fight with possums and raccoons.
Yep.
It went crazy. I really enjoyed it, and I'd quite like to go and 100% it just to see how weird it gets.
Yeah.
Because you enjoyed that, didn't you?
It was a lot of good fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of good fun. It was a lot of fun. It was good fun.
It was a lot of good fun.
Sure. Yeah, like it's a very short game, but if you want to just spend an afternoon being chaotic, then you can get a lot of enjoyment out of it.
It's also the kind of game that maybe somebody doesn't really play games, or a kid, your nephews come around and they're like 8 or 9, and they don't really, well, I don't know, they probably at that age they might do, but you let them play that and you can't fail. You can't go wrong. It's just kind of, they're going to have a lot of fun just causing chaos. Go around and smash every vase if you want. You can go and throw the DVDs or throw the record players, like the records, across the room, and just have a lot of fun. And I think there'll be lots of moments where people just have a laugh with it. I recommend it. It can be incredibly short, but also you can spend a little while going and discovering its secrets.
And then we did another quick look.
We did, yeah. Go and check out our quick looks on YouTube, youtube.com/biggestbenness. We're going to put them up as often as we can. And we've got also some reviews coming up. We're still deciding which ones to go for, which to do, because there's some that I'd quite like. I think my big one is Death Stranding. That's the one that I'm like, I don't know whether to do a let's play, a quick look, live stream. Like, there's so much I want from that game, but
Let us know in the comments.
Oh, no, because I'd never listen. I am interested, though, in doing, when we do a review, is to kind of have it as the critic versus the casual. Because that is quite
who's who.
Because that is quite a unique thing that we have. Like, everybody's making YouTube videos with reviews of games and stuff like that. There's, there are millions on there, but who's got an actual journalist on theirs picking it? And who, when the other person knows nothing about games?
You know a bit about games.
Yeah, that you can play them with controllers and that.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently you can finish them. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't know about that.
But yeah, so that might be a future thing. But we did do a quick look for The Precinct, which is a Neon-Noir GTA. A lot of people call it a GTA, and I think IGN called it GTA, and I'm like, I don't 100% get that. You are playing a cop in a Neon-Noir setting, set in like 80s New York, New Jersey. I think probably like it's like the outskirts. There are no super high skyscrapers, so maybe like New Jersey. I don't know. I'm not American. And it just oozes in style. The synth, the neon lights, the dark,
rain-soaked streets.
Rain-soaked streets. Exactly. It is just everything I want in a style of game, and very Blade Runner. inspired. There's like Blade Runner reference and RoboCop references apparently.
Mm.
I was streaming it and somebody was like, "Oh, that's a RoboCop reference," and I can like, yeah, it's just dripping in.
I mean,
80s.
it's not sci-fi like it's 80s.
Yeah,
those films are both sci-fi, but they're like
it's their
Blade Runner was
style.
Neo-Noir,
Yeah.
which was based on sort of 80s meets 40s noir cinema. Yeah, I can.
And this
I
is
can
as well because there's gangs and mafia style things. So I think this is also that, but not in a futuristic setting.
I can. Yeah, it's much more realistic, but I can see where the GTA comparison comes from. In part, it's the perspective, so it's like a sort of isometric, almost top-down.
I call it the Sims view. If you've ever played The Sims, it's literally that, where you can't really put your camera too high up to be vertical or below, but you can just move it slightly.
Yeah, and that's giving that sense of what old school GTA used to be, and the way you can sort of drive your cars around the city and things like that.
It's a sandbox, another sandbox.
Yeah, and it's from the opposite perspective of you're playing as a cop rather than playing as a gang member. But it feels, I don't want to say realistic, because it's a video game.
Well, it's simulatory.
And you actually have to be a cop. It's not just following a story, but you have to literally arrest people and find people doing crimes.
Exactly. Yeah. To be honest, I really enjoyed. And one of the games I played last year, I don't think I ever spoke about it on the podcast, but one game I just enjoyed chilling with was Police Simulator, and Police Officer Simulator, whatever it's called. You could get it on PlayStation Plus, and that game and this game are very similar in those regards. That you start off as a lowly cop that's really focusing on the small things, and you build them up, and you climb your ranks, and then you can unlock other things. But also, like, you start your shift at the beginning of the day. You're like, oh, you choose what kind of shift you want. Do you want an on-foot shift? Do you want a car patrol shift where you're going after people who are speeding? If anyone has played Police Simulator, you'll be like, this is identical. And that part of the game is, and however, there is it starts off anyway. I'm going to say like the first hour or two has a really quite interesting story. You're going to try and take this gang down. You're trying to get their leader. You've also found out that it explains at the beginning that your father was killed. Your father was a police officer as well and killed on duty, I believe. I don't know if it was on duty, but he was killed and they never found his killer. And they set this up and I'm like, this is really interesting. And right now they've just been like, okay, here's this hierarchy of these two gangs that are happening at the moment. Go and do that. And all at the moment I'm doing is really going around and like catching speeders and giving
basic
parking
simple
tickets.
crimes.
Yeah, like I've got there.
You want something more hardcore?
Well, I like the simulator stuff. I really enjoy it, but I really wish it was very optional, or at least like at the moment I haven't worked out, and maybe that's just me. I've spent about 5 hours with it. I haven't quite worked out how to progress the main story, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? I've done 5 shifts in a row. I'd quite like to progress the story a bit now and just have a bit more. Yeah. Because it starts off so strongly, and I really enjoyed. Like, it immersed me so well into immersed me. So it's one of those words that somebody once said that they hate the word immersive, and I'm like, you know what? Actually, I do as well, because you have to explain like how are you? What do you mean you're immersed? I don't know. It just the story really grabbed me. I was really invested in that, and the setting was just it just worked perfectly, especially with the music. And now you're like, okay, now I'm just going around to do this, and I'm enjoying going and doing the police stuff, and I'm enjoying. Going and breaking up a fight and then collecting their evidence and like chasing after them and being like, where did they go? And then I go and check in a dumpster and there's the person there. And then when you're booking them, you have to read them the rights. And then you go and select all the different crimes that they've committed. And then you can make the decision whether they are going to get a fine or whether you're going to arrest them. And then once you've arrested them, you decide whether you're going to take them to the station and book them, or you can call a police car to come and collect them. And there's a lot of that simulatory side where you are simulating a police officer, which as somebody, I don't know whether it's just me getting older, but I do really enjoy a simulator game, and that part does appeal to me.
Why is that you getting older?
Because it's like a job.
Like simulators.
I mean, I definitely have, so maybe it isn't that, but I don't know, I quite like, because I've got a job. I don't need another one, but then actually I do quite like...
But when it's virtual and you're doing it with a controller,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like work.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm not going to be a police officer, but it's kind of cool to be one for a
Pretend.
little bit, yeah. It's and it's also very unrealistic, like they penalize you if you like decide to start shooting people. Like, and if they put their hands up and stuff and stop, you are not allowed to shoot them, which I didn't realize that was a thing.
What, not shooting people?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
thought
you
cops,
don't have to shoot people.
No, I thought the cops just go and like, if you start running, you're getting gunned down. That's what I assume.
I mean,
That's probably
maybe in certain parts of the world.
yeah. I don't know what part we could think of.
No.
But I am really enjoying it. But I think it's maybe because there's the simulator part that's a little bit repetitive, but also really enjoyable. It's maybe a game to play in bursts. And I think that's maybe
Would it
why
work well on the Steam Deck?
apparently it runs incredibly well on the Steam Deck. I've not tried it, but I was in their Discord and people were like, "Oh my god, thank you for making it so perfect on the Steam Deck." I'm really intrigued to do that, but also I wonder if that's why, because the review scores weren't that high. I think it got like a 70 on OpenCritic, which is like fair. But I wonder if some of the lower scores are because people were rushed through, and I think a lot of them were like, it kind of loses its oomph by the time the end comes. You're just like, come on, please, can I just end this? Where I don't know, to someone like me who quite likes a simulator, but the story is a bit of a bonus, maybe, even though I was very invested from the start, maybe that this is something that is enjoyable just to play in bursts. And yeah, this is another game that maybe I will, in fact, I will download that on the Steam Deck tonight. I'm just going to stay up all night playing games.
What's new?
Yeah.
What's new?
So what do you
Some
think
of
from
us
it?
need
Because
some sleep.
you played it a bit as well. Oh, the shooting was really... Did you enjoy the shooting? Did you do much?
Yeah, it was quite, I didn't really do much shooting, but it was quite an interesting mechanic where there's sort of like a weird crosshair that you have to aim over an enemy before you shoot.
Yeah. It was like, it's interesting because you kind of, it's a cover shooter when you go into the actual combat. That's something which I never got to that stage in Police Simulator where it becomes a cover shooter. But like, yeah, you kind of angle the camera so that when you draw the weapon, you're pretty much lined up for the criminal wherever they are. And then you can move the right joystick just to kind of flick it up a bit to get a headshot. It seems quite... I haven't died, but there's been a few... I think it's a very generous game.
You were quite close.
I think it's a generous game. I think it's a bit like Destiny, where what looks like the last 10% of a health bar is actually like an entire health bar. But they do that to kind of build up tension. If you ever play Destiny, you notice that you're always at the end. You're like, oh my god, I'm about to die, and you just make it, and it gives you that adrenaline. Yeah. I mean, that's good gaming, good like making a game. So yeah, I haven't died yet, but there's been moments where I'm like, oh my god, there's like a gunfight suddenly starts, and I have to kind of find somewhere to duck for cover. And yeah, I really enjoy the shooting in it, even though it's quite simple. I do have a shotgun now and a taser, which is always fun. And I'm gonna play more because it's also got like a skill tree. You get, every time you rank up, you get a point to add to this skill tree, which is quite a basic standard one. But also, when you're going and doing these crimes during the day, you're unlocking evidence to take down these gang leaders. At the moment, there are only 2 gangs. I think there are only 2 gangs. But then once you've taken down a leader, you go to like the next level of the gang. And yeah, so I imagine maybe story gets unlocked as you're like taking down these 2 gangs.
Yeah.
I wonder if the story is related to that, or if that's just a way of making the progress come up every now and again. But yeah, I will stick with it, and I will definitely talk more about it because I do want to finish it. And I do actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's a great Steam Deck game. So I think I will do that. Nice. That's Quali.
The studio?
Yes. Quali.
I don't think that's how it's pronounced.
No? Okay. But I got to play a bit. I got to play a bit of Gamescom last year, and I was hooked the moment I saw it. Just from the style. It's also very destructible environments, which are cool. Like properly everything, as you found out when you smashed through that in the middle section of the motorway.
Oh, I was just driving.
But
badly.
everything turned into like little blocks. What was the what's that game where everything turns into like little tiny blocks when you smash them?
That's a lot of games.
It reminded me a little bit of, in Astrobot when you
Ratchet and Clank?
Yeah, maybe Ratchet and Clank where you've got the pixelator thing and then
Ratchet
you
and
hit
Clank.
it and then it all breaks into those little tiny blocks. It was a bit like that, which I enjoyed.
Nice.
Cool. So we've got one more game.
Yeah, so...
let's go on to something that's not as great.
Wow.
Well,
so I finished Clair Obscur, and then the next... To be fair, there are some really big games coming out soon. So the end of May is Elden Ring Night Reign, which I'm really excited about.
When you say big games, it's mainly just that one you want to play, isn't it?
Well, there's that. And then like a week later is Switch 2, so Mario Kart, and then the end of June is Death Stranding 2. So some really big games that I am really excited to play. So I was thinking, right, what can I play between now and the end of the month? And so what I decided to start is Lost Odyssey, that is an 80-hour, 4-disc long Xbox 360 JRPG.
Well, the weird thing
I'm definitely
is...
not going to finish in time. But you bought it for me as a gift, and I thought, I really want to play it. So I'm only a couple of hours in, but I'll talk about that.
Talking about that.
I know you're not, but I'm just throwing that
I was
out
going to say,
there.
that's not the bad game. I've heard. Although you were playing this other game, and then you switched to Lost Odyssey. Well, you were playing South of Midnight, which we're about to talk about, and then you switched to Lost Odyssey, and I came in and was like, "Oh, the graphics aren't very good in this."
Well, no, I decided to play South of Midnight properly because it's quite a short game. And what I then also started was Oblivion. And
Sorry,
I played
it was Oblivion
for like 4 hours on Sunday and then thought, do you know what? I'm bored with this and I'm done.
No,
and I don't think I'm going to go back to it.
It was Oblivion because, yeah, you were playing Oblivion and I'd never seen it. I've no idea what. I've never played Oblivion. And then I came in and you were playing Lost Odyssey and I was like, doesn't really look like a remaster.
Yeah, no, I switched.
It's like a legit
Because
Xbox 360.
I want to stick with Lost Odyssey for a bit. I'm only a couple of hours in and I'm very intrigued. So I'll talk about that at the time. But anyway, before that, I wanted to tick off an extra short game, which was South of Midnight on Game Pass.
South of Midnight.
It was good, but also not good.
I love the music. Again, another game with brilliant music.
It does have great music. It's got boss battles with proper theme tunes. And I mean that as in like a sung song about that boss.
Yeah.
So it's, the storytelling is through the music as you're fighting them.
Is it nice and
getting to the
subtle?
level. No, but it doesn't need to be.
Oh, because like you were going like, oh no, it's because you were climbing some kind of tree and the song was literally telling you the story and you were like, oh god.
Well, the first time I was like, oh, okay. But then I realized that it does that throughout. But that ties into something else that I'll talk about in a second. So South of Midnight, it is set in the South, the deep South of America. And you play as Hazel, who is a teenager. And essentially there is a big storm at the very beginning of the game and her mother goes missing and you have to go and find her. And it turns out that she has special powers and she is a weaver, which means that she can use weaving magic that essentially is healing people by tying the threads of whatever is happening. And I see you looking at your watch.
No, I just got an email and I was like, oh, it's the TikTok team will send you some tools.
Oh, how thrilling.
I've got clocks over there if I'm really desperate to see what time it is.
Okay, good. So it is essentially a sort of adventure action platform game where you play as this young girl and she has magic powers. What I love about it and what a lot of people have really loved about it as well is its use of sort of folklore from the Deep South. So it's this just really cool world, whether it be with the sort of jazz music or the art style, which is all in stop motion style, which I thought would be really sick inducing, and it's actually not. So that surprised me.
Well, you turned it off, that's why, isn't it?
No. I turned it back on and realized that it's actually quite subtle. So it's not strange on the eyes.
I live in a day when we're all in a world where we're all obsessed with frame rate and like.
And here's one chopping it in half on purpose. Yeah, but it actually looks all right. Okay. But the artistic style of it is super cool. It's got these, it's a world where there's like a giant crocodile and a talking catfish and sort of strange voodoo magic and all done through poetry and song, and like the style of the game is so well done, and there's been a lot of chat about it feeling very authentic to the Deep South, which as a white British man is clearly not me, so I'm not going to say it's authentic, but it feels like it is. So
for tourists like you.
From a tourist point of view, it feels like it is. And it's really enjoyable to get sucked into that world. So that side of things, I really enjoyed. But then we get to the gameplay, and it's really quite boring.
It's annoying because there's some really stylish games out there.
Yeah.
Like the Precinct, Clair Obscur.
It's a frustrating game because, like I said, the style of it is so cool, and it's a world that we don't see a lot of, a type of folklore we don't see a lot of. And I really wish that we saw more of this in games. But it plays like an Xbox 360 game from like 20 years ago.
Which is what you're playing.
True.
And enjoying.
Just in that it just feels so obvious. You know, you're just following the fairly linear path. You're double jumping between things. You can run along walls. You get a grappling hook on specific things.
Isn't that kind of enjoyable though? Like it's comfort, and that's like, isn't that deep sounds like comfort food, comfort game?
Kind of, in terms of exploration, kind of. But then there's combat, and combat's fucking dreadful.
You're getting very angry.
Well, there's only about 4 different enemy types, and
hello, Destiny.
You get a very limited number of moves, and you just like attack them, and then you have to sort of heal them at the very end, which then heals you as well. But the way it works is that you're jumping along, and then you see, ooh, this looks like a boss arena or whatever, an enemy arena, and it blocks you off so you can't leave. And then you just get stuck doing this little arena battle against a couple of rounds of very samey enemies. And then you kill them all. And then you go on to the next bit. And it just keeps repeating that. And you do get new moves. And there's a skill tree that you expand, but not particularly meaningfully. And even the final boss, spoiler, is just a sequence of those battles again and again against normal enemies. And I'm like, this is like, the combat's the worst thing about this game. Why are you putting that as the final boss? So I just found that like the first couple of the first chapter is kind of interesting, and then you realize that it's just repeating the same thing again and again. So you go to the area, and then you have to fight things to collect memories, and there are 4 enemies that make a pattern, and then you get the pattern, and then you have to do a little chase sequence, and then you do that, and then you go to the thing, and then there's a boss, and then you move to the next area and you do the same thing again. And it's so heavily structured and so formulaic that you know what's going to happen before it happens. So the stories are really dark and twisted. Like, it goes places. There are a lot of undertones of slavery, which it sort of touches on but doesn't quite go into. But I don't mind that too much because it's more like a backdrop. But there are some really dark stories about like children going missing and like evil things happening and weird abominations, and like, it's a great story and great style. I just wish that the gameplay was a little bit more inventive to actually match that style, because it just became a bit boring to play, even though I wanted to see what was going to happen in the story.
Do you think it's worth playing for people? Would you recommend it?
It's like 8 to 10 hours. It's on Game Pass. It's worth it, I would say, to see the style of it and to see those stories. I think you can actually skip battles somehow. I think
you should just play that. We'll play with that
maybe.
mode on.
So yeah, for the sakes of like supporting the devs and the style, and like I say, it's on Game Pass and it's very short. You can whip through it in probably a weekend if you really wanted to. So I'd say it's worth trying. It's just like a 7 out of 10, a generous 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
So it's worth trying. I just found the gameplay repetitive.
Okay. Well, that was
a shame.
South of Midnight.
Yeah.
The music was really catchy. I enjoyed
The
listening
music
to
is
that.
great.
So should we talk about, should we listen to what other people have been playing?
Yes. Let's go through. Let me find answer of the day.
I mean, I've got it right in front of me. Do you want me to read the first one?
No. I've got them on my phone.
No, I will know my place.
Right. We start with Games Mistress, who says, I've been playing the newest Sims 4 expansion pack called Businesses and Hobbies. Can I just say, I can't believe they're still releasing expansion packs.
Oh, they make money. Like, so many people have that game. They want, and a lot of people get every single expansion.
Still ideas.
Well, I've turned into making it a job now. You can make your own business.
This is
so
true.
Yeah, I love a sim. Maybe I should get this. This sounds great.
Okay, so this expansion basically allows your sim to create a small business, either in their home or built on a small business lot that only opens and runs when they choose to do so. It becomes its own minigame with questions and events that shape the way the business is perceived and whether you're a small business dreamer or schemer, etc. The best part is that it integrates with all the other packs you already have. So if you have cats and dogs, you can run a cat cafe or a dog park.
They can just sell cats.
You can open a pet shop.
Be breed.
I have Snowy Escapes, which is set in Sims Japan.
Can you have an otter cafe or something immoral like that?
Which means Gemma is now running an onsen. I hope that means that they're all making woohoo in the nudie onsens. which we definitely didn't do.
It's definitely going to be downloading this.
No. Unlike some of the other expansion packs, it has mastered integrating into game in ways that reflect your playstyle, and it provides a meaningful difference to the game before its release. It's not just a new flavour of world with a bar and a lounge, but actually a shift to the whole game. It's my favourite expansion of the 13 or so we have. See, I thought there were more than 13, but actually that's a lot.
Oh, no. It says the 13 or so we have.
So there are way more.
I think there are more.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, there's like expansions, then there are packs, and then there are essentials or something like that. I'm not sure.
For a 10-year-old game, I think that's something to celebrate.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And the way I can imagine Gemma plays it, being a mistress of games, I'm intrigued to see how she can turn that into a job. Can you run a brothel?
Or a sex shop.
Oh, I don't know.
How hardcore does The Sims get?
It doesn't without mods. I know Wicked Whims is a mod you can download for it to make it really filthy. I'd be intrigued to see if there is a filthy mod with that expansion, or if there will be soon.
This is your challenge, Gemma, for next week.
Please. We want you to create a whorehouse in The Sims.
Do it. Right, brutal.
Make it a tavern style as well. Can you get taverns in The Sims? You can probably make a tavern.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Brutal Brenda says, I bought Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town on Switch because it was on sale.
It's not Pioneers of Olive Town. It's Poot.
Poot.
Sauce Poot.
Okay, so Brenda's paying sauce poot.
Yeah.
You've talked about the game before. You played it. You streamed it.
They gave me a copy for some reason. Well, they gave me a copy
for some reason.
Well, yeah, exactly. Why me? But they gave me a copy a month early, and then was like, "You can stream it." I'm like, "Seriously? Like, you want me to stream this game, the whole game, like a month early?" And I did, and I had a lot of viewers because a lot of people were like, "Well, the hell? Why are you playing it?" Yeah, a lot of people did come in and be like, "Why the hell are you playing it?" But it was also on like the Amazon page, so people going to look at it on Amazon, and it came up with my live stream on there. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, and I loved it. It was really, really good.
Brenda says, I'm addicted and I love it so far. As a Stardew fan, this is my first time trying a SOS game, and the graphics are a big yes. The amount of new to me NPCs and the size of the city were a bit overwhelming at first, but I'm sure I felt the same the first time I started playing Stardew, which I'm mentioning a lot because they're quite similar games in objective, subject, and gameplay. I've started to learn where stores are now, just need to get used to when they're closed. Fuck you, seed store that was closed when I wanted to buy seeds and already tilled and watered the ground. That would be annoying, yeah. The game feels very intuitive, not stressful, and low-paced, which is perfect for a gamer like me who hates timed objectives. I feel like the days are long enough to do my shit, and the NPCs are cute and friendly. I haven't come far yet because I only just started it last week, but I know I'll stick to this game for a while, and having it on Switch means it's portable. Woo! Also, the cows are cute as fuck, as I'm sure we all agree on.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't really get into Stardew. I've never really got into Stardew, but obviously I got into Animal Crossing a lot, and I liked that this felt not a different thing. Well, it kind of like had not the graphics of Animal Crossing, but like the going from Animal Crossing to Stardew, which I know one's a farming game and one's like a villager whatever game, but I don't know. This just gave me loads of tasks to do, which I enjoyed, but also had that kind of isometric view. Which Stardew didn't, and Stardew is quite a bit, very, very different visually, whereas this was a lot more aesthetically pleasing. However, I remember they've made a lot of quality of life improvements, thankfully, to that. Like before, if you wanted to turn some wood into planks or whatever, this is me trying to remember, but it's probably wrong. But like you had to make a machine and then you could do one at a time. But if you had loads and loads of wood as your farm gets bigger, and you needed to make loads of planks, you would literally have to get like 10 of these machines in a row and then put and load them all and then empty them when they're done and stuff. And it would just take forever. And also your frame rate would take a massive hit because you'd have so many machines. And then I think, after a few months, they patched in one where you could do 10 for one. Or you could like do 10 in one, and it was just a slightly bigger machine. So yeah, that made it a lot better. And also you can, the frame rate on the Switch is not amazing, but then they released it on PC and it was like, okay, so the game is patched. It runs really, really, really well. And it's had all these quality of life improvements. Brilliant.
There we go.
So yeah, no, it's definitely my favorite Story of Seasons game. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Clasco is finishing off Xenoblade Chronicles X. This is another game that I really want to play. I love flying around with my Skell, which I believe is your robot mech
Skeleton,
thing.
maybe.
Pink to match my character's outfit. I'm biding my time until I get bored, and then I'll kick off Clair Obscur. Just play Clair Obscur now.
Xenoblade Chronicles Cross is it's not X, it's Cross. Is it Cross?
Whatever.
Xenoblade Chronicles Cross? I don't know, maybe.
I'm reading the letter X.
But good for you for getting to your Skell, because I played many, many hours of that game and never actually unlocked it, because I think it's like 30 hours in or something that you unlock it. But it's I want to play it, but we don't have a copy. Not yet.
No, we'll have to sort that out at some point. Linny Lavie says, back to DBD, and not because of the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter they just announced, but because the Rift, which is their version of a Battle Pass, cosmetics are so pretty. And Glinsky followed up, the floral skins are gorgeous. The Witcher skins incoming also look great. Ooh. Plus Boulay Brothers and Walking Dead expected to be the new survivors in July. There's a lot to look forward to in it. Yeah, they had a big announcement stream thing. And they announced, so there are Witcher skins coming. So it's not actually Witcher Killer or whatever. No. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's is the next chapter. And also what they said, next year they're going to make a chapter that is essentially choose your own adventure, and it's going to be the community deciding on every element of it. So they're going to basically, I presume they'll do it through polls and say, what do you want? And then the community will decide. So it will be a community created chapter.
Come on, Roach.
Sret, I've been playing so much Core Keeper recently. I haven't picked it up in like a year, and now I just can't stop. They've added so much. They now have livestock and a bunch of different achievements. I'm just having fun in a chaotic and cozy open world game. Who would have thought?
Not cozy and chaotic.
Yeah.
I like the Core Keeper people. I didn't really play much of it because it was in alpha when I last played, but maybe I should give it a go.
Get back to it. Capt has been playing quite a few games. Recently, I played through Revenge of the Savage Planet on Game Pass, an incredible, accessible, fun Ratchet and Clank style game. It's fun, it's silly, it had me hooked from start to end. That's only just come out, so you've whipped through that very quickly.
Yeah.
I played that at GDC briefly, but I didn't get very long with it. It seemed fun though. Very bright, very silly, lots of humour. That was quickly followed by a playthrough of South of Midnight, which blew me away with its incredible storytelling and intriguing music. I would agree with that.
Sounds like, the storytelling and the music, definitely
good. Currently, I'm dooming myself with Doom the Dark Ages, but that's just started, so we'll report back when it's finished. I also might give that a go between now and Night Rain.
Yeah.
Because like Doom games are quite short, right?
Yeah, and I've heard really good things. I was listening to Jeff Gersman talking about this on his podcast, and the way he was talking about it made me really want to play it. Apparently, it's like there's no more
also, it's Game Pass, so you can just jump.
I think
in.
if you're paying for the super expensive version, you can play it now. But if you play the Game Pass version, you have to wait a bit,
like a couple more days.
Okay. Yeah. No, I loved. The thing is, I never finished Doom Eternal. Did you?
I didn't play that one. I played Doom 2016, but I didn't play Eternal.
I finished Doom 2016, and that was like the first Doom style game and first Doom game I ever finished, and I was absolutely in love with it. And Doom Eternal, well, you know the story. Played it for an hour, then Animal Crossing came out, and the rest is history.
Yes.
So, but then everyone was saying like, oh, it's not as good, and it's quite difficult. And I'm like, well, I'll just stick to Animal Crossing. But this is getting amazing reviews. And I think as well, you play it how you want. There's no like strafing enemies around rooms anymore, because you can parry. So you can literally just stand there and you can like parry things back to people.
What I've heard is that 2016, Doom Eternal, and then the new one all actually play quite differently.
I've heard that.
But it's not so much play your own way. It's just that this plays in a different way to the previous games. So I think it's like 2016 was fast paced. Eternal was all about movement and verticality and jumping, whereas this is much more grounded and you've got a shield and you're parrying. So you're playing a bit more as like a tank, essentially. So it's a slightly slower pace than Eternal, which some people like and some people don't like. Having only played 2016 and not being a particularly big Doom fan, just because I haven't really played them, I don't really have a comment on that. But I'm intrigued to play it and
same.
See how it feels. And then lastly, Mr. Wibble has started Clair Obscur. It's such a wonderfully crafted game, both music, story, and gameplay. I didn't expect I'd get into the turn-based combat, but here we are. I think a lot of people feel like that because there's more action to it. I think you've got people who don't like turn-based games, but are enjoying the action part, and then there are people who are like, oh, I don't like rhythm games, and are sort of put off by the parrying.
They're lost.
For me, I love all of those things, so it's just everything put together in a good way.
Brilliant. Right, should we to the news?
Oh, we did the news.
Well, what's the news, Ed?
Oh, I haven't prepared this.
Oh God, it's every time it's the news.
Well, it's been a while.
Giant Bomb has gone independent, which is for those of you who don't know, Giant Bomb. I think I mentioned it in the last one, but oh no, it wasn't independent then. But yeah, Giant Bomb is probably one of the reasons why this exists. Because I fell back in love with video games thanks to the folks over at Giant Bomb. They do quick looks, they do reviews, they do a weekly podcast, and they talk about what they've been doing. Then they talk about games, and then they talk about the news. So you might notice a few influencers on this. But yeah, no, they have been controlled by various other companies. They were started by Jeff Gerstmann after he left GameSpot, or he was very asked that they insisted that he leave, and then he set up his own thing that was brilliant, and then joined, and then it got various corporate owners, and just recently it was purchased by Fandom, which is a terrible website, and then they were just doing crap with it, and they were losing a lot of they're getting a lot of bad publicity from it, and then they thought, let's maybe sell it, and they've sold it to a bunch of people, including your friend Dan Reichert. So good luck to them. I have subscribed to them. Go to giantbomb.com/join, give them some money, and enjoy their content. That's the news I have.
It's strong news. It's nice to see some good gaming media being independent, and hopefully people will actually pay for it.
Yeah, hopefully, and because I think people are much more likely to pay for it if they know it's going directly to the people who are like there, and not going to the big corporate overlords.
Yes, I'll say no more. I have not prepared, so I'm going to just skim through.
That's fine.
I mean, Pokemon cards are coming back to Happy Meals. They
were ever in them?
Apparently.
Oh.
So yeah. That's happening in the UK right about now. This week has been financials week, because it was the end of the financial year, and so now they've all done their financial reports. So there are lots of numbers going around about the number of PlayStations and Switch sales and Square Enix sales and whatever, which is very businessy. So, but that's been big in the news this week. Clair Obscur, apparently the director, is interested potentially in a Switch 2 version, but whether it can run is another thing entirely.
Yeah.
The next Mario movie title has leaked.
Is it Mario Party?
What do you think it's going to be?
Super Mario Brothers 2?
No.
Is it Mario 2?
No.
Mario U?
No.
Super Mario Brothers? Does it have Mario in the name?
Yep.
It
is literally the name of a game.
Super Mario Galaxy?
No.
Mario Sunshine?
No.
Mario Tennis?
No.
Mario Golf?
It's Super Mario World, which is the SNES game.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, which makes sense.
It might do, but then I'm like, is that a sequel? Or is that just the first one? I can't remember if that was called it. I don't know. I feel like it should have a number.
Minecraft is getting craftable saddles after a 15-year wait.
Oh, but I've been waiting.
I bet you have.
Yeah.
Well,
if you run out of news, what you should do is you go onto Reddit and you sort it by best.
No, I'm looking through my own articles.
Oh, of course. Well, if you didn't write about it, then it's not.
Well, no, it's just there's lots of businessy things this week. It hasn't been the most interesting of.
Right, the top of this week. Palworld confirms disappointing game changes forced by Pokemon lawsuit.
Yes, but there is a mod that restores them.
Oh, good.
Already.
Blizzard's Overwatch team just unionized.
Yeah, that happened. There's a new Persona game that is going to be shown tomorrow, which will be probably after. Yeah, it will be done by the time this podcast goes out. But it's for a mobile game, not Persona 6. Sorry.
Oh, that's a shame. Also, apparently the Clair Obscur publisher said that the Oblivion Shadow drop actually helped them.
Yeah, that was from like 2 weeks ago.
Well, apparently it was only popular on Reddit for a bit. Anyway, well, it's not interesting. We're not going to just
Well, if you want to read
get
something
blood
interesting,
from a stone.
you could. Wow. Well, no, I just hadn't prepared. There probably is something bigger. I wrote a story on Chinese developers that people can read if they want to.
They did.
I interviewed some Chinese devs at GDC when I was in San Francisco. Basically, because I was like, why are there so many action RPGs coming out? Like, you've got Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers, and Lost Soul Aside.
And they told you why.
And Tides of Annihilation, and all of these different action RPGs, all following in the footsteps of Black Myth Wukong. And so I wanted to know, well, why action RPGs? And what's changed in the industry? And so, yeah, the success of Wukong means that expectations have changed.
And I think we've got a group of Twitter twats of the week, haven't we? A lot of the people who quote tweeted that being like, look at this person pretending that Wukong is the first Chinese game to do well, when that's not what was said in the article.
No, and that wasn't my intention.
And it was just somebody that...
Thanks for the clicks.
Yeah, thanks for the clicks, but also get out your own arse. I think, and I moaned about this on the co-working stream, but like Twitter is an awful, awful place, full of fascists and people with disgusting views that should be banned. But Blue Sky, nowhere near as bad, but it is full of people that just love the smell of their own farts. And they'll see something like your article about Chinese things and then be like, oh, here's how I can just sound really intelligent, and will completely disregard what you've written and make their own assumption of what it is, and to make themselves sound really clever. And those people are just fucking insufferable. So they're the Twitter twats of the week. There you go.
You said it.
I did. Yeah, the Twitter twat of the week is Ben's Twitter twat of the week. It's never endorsed by Ed unless he has suggested
Well, it's usually someone who's abused me that you'll then put standing up for me.
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
Yeah. Yeah, the person that abused me on YouTube did it on YouTube, so they can't be a Twitter twat. Sorry. All right, well, what are we playing next week? I think I'm going to be playing... I'm going to ask the question and answer it. I'm going to be playing some Clair Obscur and the Precinct. I think that might be... They're the two.
Yeah, I need to check when Doom is out on Game Pass, but I might give that a go. Otherwise, some more Lost Odyssey.
Yes. Excellent. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, or listening, if you enjoyed it, go and check out youtube.com/biggestbenus, and you can see more of our quick looks. We've got live streams. Ed streams every Monday. He's almost at the end of, he's pretty much at the end of
Sekiro, if I can do the bloody extra bosses that I'm screaming over.
And forcing yourself to do for some reason. And yeah, I'll be playing, I feel like I'm still just, no, actually I'm going to be playing some more Wind Waker.
You need to get through Wind Waker.
I need to get through Wind Waker before the Switch 2 gets out, and I think there's like 2 or 3 streams left of that before I can finish it. So,
Easy.
Well, we will see. There was a bit in the last dungeon where I was like 20 minutes scratching my head. Then someone came in and was like, have you tried moving them into the light? I'm like, oh, yeah, that would make sense. So, yeah, we will see if I can do that.
I'll help you out.
I don't need the help.
Okay.
It's the opposite. I don't need the help.
Sounds like you do.
I want to do it myself. But yeah, so that'll be coming up. And yeah, we've got quick looks, reviews, whatever. And we'll be back next week with some more swapping joysticks. So thank you very much. And thanks to everybody that submitted their what they've been playing. If you want to go to discord.gg/biggestbenus, if you would like to join the community there, just say, because there's a little intro thing, just say you found us on the podcast. We'll let you in. And then every week when that question gets asked, you can submit yours. But thank you very much. Ed, where can we find you?
You can find me at ed_nights or Ed Nights generally on social media.
Excellent. And I am Biggest Benus everywhere that matters. So yeah, huge thank you. And we will see you next week.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.